polls currently have Donald Trump winning, but what if they are wrong once again? What is up, people of the internet? It is me, Real American, back again with a new video. And today, it is time to talk about the 2024 presidential election, because everyone, we all know that Donald Trump is currently leading Joe Biden in virtually every poll, but there is still a big question surrounding the polling. What if they're wrong once again? And not necessarily in favor of Biden, but what if, like in 2016, like in 2020, the polls understate Donald Trump's support? Now, before we continue with today's video, I hope you enjoy these type of videos. If you do, smash the like button down below, subscribe, share with your friends, hit that little bell, follow the social media accounts in the description down below, and of course, join the channel today. Again, folks, all support is greatly appreciated, and yeah. Now, let me be 100% clear. I am not saying that Trump is gonna win with this margin. That's not what I'm saying at all. In fact, this is not a prediction. I highly doubt the polls will be as off as they were in 2020. But I wanted to do a fun scenario where, hey, if the polls are wrong once again, what would the map look like? Because there is that possibility. Trump is one of the only politicians we have ever seen where every single time he runs, the polls understate his support by a lot. Now, let's start with the popular vote and work our way towards the states. So, right now, Trump is currently leading Biden on the RCP aggregate by 1.5 points. Just for context, Trump never led Biden ever. He was always down. Not by like a point. He was always down by, best case scenario, like 4.5 points. Yeah. But not only that, the polls understated his support at the end of the day by around 3 points. So if we account for that miss, Trump right now could theoretically be up as much as 4.5 points over Biden. I am not saying that's going to happen. Again, this is a hypothetical. Let's just say that actually happens. That is a 9-point shift from 2020. Let's just see what the map would look like with a 9-point shift across the board. Every single state. Obviously, states like Iowa, Ohio, Texas, Florida would be safe no matter what. Same thing with North Carolina. States like Georgia, Arizona, Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, even Nevada would all be likely margins. But that's not it. Remember, Trump lost Nebraska second by 7 points. He would win it in this scenario. Minnesota, a state that he lost by 7, he would win in this scenario. Hell, you would talk about states like Virginia, Illinois, Colorado, New Mexico being way closer than they usually have been. Maine, another one. Hell, Trump would probably win New Hampshire in a 9-point shift. That's why if this polling miss happens, which I'm not saying it will, it would be an absolute blow to the Democrats, because you're talking about barely holding on to Virginia, barely winning New Mexico, getting crushed in Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, Georgia, etc. But you can make the argument that, well, he could be doing a lot better in California and New York, and that could be inflating his national margin. So, alright, let's just say, fine. The popular vote is being inflated by New York, California, whatever. Let's just say that's right, okay? Like, fine. That could be a reasonable argument to make. That, hey, he's doing so much better in New York and California, but that doesn't mean it's translating to Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, etc. Fine. All right, let's go state by state. And this is where you will immediately notice, okay, this could end poorly for Biden. Let's start with Iowa. To give you some context for how bad this theoretically could get. All right, back in 2020, Trump won it by around 8 points. The polls had him up by 2. It was a 6-point miss for Trump. He's currently up by 11.5. Without a question of doubt, that would be a safe state if the same swing occurred. Let's look at Ohio. Potentially the most egregious one. Back in 2020, yeah, he was winning by 1. He ended up winning the state by 8. A 7-point miss. Right now, he's up by 10. Yeah, 10 points in Ohio, the same state. He was barely winning. Hell, for most of the cycle, he was losing by 2 to 3 points. It was a last-second surge of quotation that had him up by 1. So in that scenario, Trump would win. Texas, back in 2020, it was a 4-point miss. 4.5-point miss, I should say. Right now, he's up by 8. But what about Florida? All right, back in 2020, he won it by 3, and RCP had him winning it, or actually, no, not even winning it. Had him losing it by 1. A 4-point miss. In 2024, yeah, look at that. They don't have an average because not enough polls, fine. Because people understand Trump is going to win Florida by a lot. But let's just take the St. Pete poll. Trump plus 6. The most recent one. That would mean Trump would win Florida by a safe margin. Just keep going. Georgia. This is one of the only states that understated Biden by a point. They had Trump winning by 1 point. He won by 0.3. Right? This is one of the only times where, yes, Republicans are overstated in Georgia, usually. Right now in 2024, though, he's up by 5. So even in a 1-point swing towards Biden, Trump would still carry the state of Georgia by 3 to 4 points, like most people expect as of now. Let's go to North Carolina. Trump was barely ahead at the last second by 0.2. He won by 1.3. Sorry, 1-point miss in favor of Trump. Right now in 2024, he's up by 4.5. That's a likely margin. Are people getting the picture yet? No? All right, let's go to the Midwest because this is where the polling was the most pathetic back in 2020, starting with my state of Wisconsin. Remember this? I remember this well because the polls were claiming Biden was going to win by 6.5 points. He barely won it by under 1. Right now, in the state of Wisconsin, as of today, they have Trump up by 1. That would give it a likely margin. Let's go to Michigan, right? Trump's currently up by 3.5, which is bizarre that he's polling better in Michigan than Wisconsin, but either way, whatever. Once again, Trump was understated by 1.5. But if it wasn't for the Trafalgar poll, it would have been like a 3 to 4 point miss. So, another state that's likely. Pennsylvania, back in 2020, was actually spot on. Right now, Trump is barely ahead, like by 0.2. Arizona, right now, or back then, it overstated Biden by 0.5 point. Right now, Trump's up by 5. And same thing Nevada. Nevada is one of the states where, yes, it did overstate Trump by 0.3. Congratulations. Such a big miss. But even with this polling miss in favor of Biden, all right, Trump is up by 3. So it doesn't freaking matter. He still wins it. So even if the national polls, they don't have a polling miss, all right? Let's just say that theory of, oh, well, Trump's doing so much better in California was true. All right, fine. Even in that scenario, if the statewide polls from the swing states, not including Minnesota, New Hampshire, wherever, Trump would still win. Easily. This is why people gotta understand that a polling miss could theoretically happen this cycle. It's happened to Trump both times. How can people just say it's impossible for it to happen? Yes, it's very unlikely for a 4-point miss. I highly doubt that. Or a 5-point miss. But would you be surprised if there was a 1-point miss? Would you? Because back in 2016, they overstated Clinton by a point. But even in that scenario, Trump would win. No matter how you try to spin this, there is this possibility that, hey, Republicans, especially Trump, usually get understated in presidential years. Midterms, that's a different story. Trump is the one Republican who has vastly overperformed every single time, not just in one state, but nearly every state. He overperformed the polling by a lot, outside of Nevada and Georgia. And right now, he's currently up ahead. He never did that before. He was never ahead in Pennsylvania. He might have been ahead for like one day, but never consistently winning like he is in Wisconsin, like he is in Michigan. I mean, for crying out loud, Trump's led Michigan since October of last year. His largest lead was 5 points. Now, I wanted to make this video to explain that even if the polls are spot on, right, Biden is still losing. And if the polls miss like they did in 2016 and 2020, Biden is screwed. Either way, there's no way to spin the current state of polling for Biden as good. Because if the polls are spot on, Trump's winning. If the polls are inaccurate like they were in 2016 or 2020, that's still a Trump win, just by a larger margin. So Democrats are going to cope and say, well, things could change. Yes, but as of now, based on history, based on what's happening, do you really think much will change in 8 months where not only will Biden magically surge, but for the first time in years, the Democrats will outrun every single poll? And not like it's Obama. You're talking about frickin' Biden. Like, if this was a charismatic incumbent, fine, whatever. But this is Joe Biden. He's not the guy that's gonna magically, destroy every modern trend. He's not going to. Anyways, folks, thank you so much for watching. If you guys did enjoy this video, smash the like button down below. Subscribe, share with your friends, hit that little bell. Follow the social media accounts in the description down below. And of course, join the channel today. Thank you so much. Godspeed to all of you.